Hi, welcome to this SQL tutorial video, and today we're going to look at cross joins. Now, a cross join is a way of including a table and its information in a given piece of SQL without actually having to provide columns to join that table, to link that table to the existing bit of SQL. It's an odd one. As a concept, it's really kind of hard to explain, but there are reasons for using cross joins, and there are lots of reasons not to use cross joins. So generally, when you're linking tables, you will use an inner join or maybe some sort of left or right outer join combination. If you were to use a cross join, what that will do is it will return, if you see in this example, I've got 6 columns in address type and I've got 10 columns in sales reason table. If I were to link sales reason to address type using a cross join where I don't need to give a related column, it will return for every row in this table, it will return every row in this table. So it will return, in this example, 6 times 10 rows. Okay, so if I do a cross join and hold on, and you write it in the same way you would do it any join, except it doesn't expect the on syntax. So if I were to run that, I will get 60 rows. I get for each billing entry in sales in address type, I get every entry from the sales reason table. Then for each home entry, I get every entry from the sales reason table. So you've got to be really, really careful. Really, the reason to use a cross join is to link a table that has a single row that maybe has some sort of parameter or setup or system information you want to include in your SQL, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's imagine that if I just do a new query, let me just take these 3 here. Instead of star, I'm going to put count. So 6 columns in address type, 10 columns in sales reason. If you do a cross join between the two, you're going to get 6 times 10 rows. So let's imagine then that we say, get me everything from sales customer, get me everything from sales order header. And if we do a cross join, so these 2 tables here, the first one's got just under 20,000 rows. The second table's got just over 30,000 rows. If we were to create a bit of SQL that had a cross join between those 2, it's going to return 623 million rows. So with the cross join, you've got to be careful. You're not going to generally use this in standard SQL. So let me show you an example of when you would use it. I'll do a new query. What I'm just going to do is copy from somewhere else a piece of code here. And this is returning 630 rows of information that I want to see. But also within this database, I've got a table called build version. And this talks about the system, the database version, the system version, when it was last modified, all this sort of stuff. This is a single row table, and it's the perfect reason to have a cross join. So I'm going to comment that out. In my SQL, what I want to see here is I want to see all of this information here, but I also want to see some of my system information. And the way we do that, because the system information has no valid join to any other tables, it's just basically a row of information. So because we don't have any sort of links or joins, we don't want to use an inner join, we want to use a cross join. So I'll do a cross join to my new table, and I'm going to do an alias of BV. And then in here we can say, all right, BV dot, let's get the last time it was modified. and bv dot system version, no, database version. And now if we run that, we get 630 rows still, but for each of the entries in our kind of upper primary bit of SQL, we get a single line added, or not included as such, but as part of that SQL that returns that data. So a cross join is really useful if you want to include some sort of system parameter setup information from a table that's got a single line and will only ever have a single line. Because if you would use a cross join, suddenly you're going to get an explosion of data, and that's where you're going to have problems. There is a way of writing a cross join and doing kind of linking the two tables. I'll quickly show you that, but there's no reason ever to do this. If I were to get these two here, and maybe I'll link the address type to the sales reason ID. So here, if I've got my two tables with a cross join, if I give these aliases, a cross join doesn't accept an on syntax because it's not that sort of join. So we can't do on there to link these two tables. What we can do is you can say where adt.address type ID equals sr.sales reason ID, and if we run that, we're going to get limited amount of data because we've actually given it a join. But in that case, you would just use an inner join. You would never use a cross join in this way. That is the end of this tutorial. I hope there was something useful, something helpful, something that you learned. Any feedback is appreciated. Thanks a lot for your time. See you next time.